This is Picking Up the Pixels, episode 79, RPG Love for February 2018. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me, as always, is Musim.
Hey.
And Mina.
Hi.
Let's just dive right into it. Musim, what have you been playing this past month?
I've really only been playing one thing, and that is Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh, yeah.
This is... I did not expect to be as completely addicted to this game as I am. I'm at around 120 hours in the game right now.
Wow.
Everything about this game, there's so many things in this game that should make me not like the game. Half of the character designs suck.
Yeah.
The story is incredibly bland. But
oh no.
walking around in that world on those Titans, kind of getting used to the battle system, and then they have, basically this, the blade system in it. The blades are your, I don't know what to describe it as personas or Pokemon.
Familiars, almost?
Yeah. You basically get these cores that are rated for different rarities, and you can't spend real money on them, even though it very much is kind of the freemium gacha model,
right?
In a way, but there's only there's 40 unique blades, and you spend these cores to randomly get a chance at getting one of them or to getting a generic one. So I have, I think, 30 or so of the unique ones, which are all they hired a bunch of different artists to do them all. So it ranges from here's a girl riding a polar bear to. What's another example of one?
Cosmos.
Yeah.
She's
in it. I haven't gotten her yet.
Are you serious? I need to play this game now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's
oh my god.
And so the thing is at I can't remember. I think it's chapter 3 or 4 in the game. You gain access to a mercenary group that you control. And you send mercenaries out on missions. It's very reminiscent of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Send your guys out in that. But instead these are the generic and unique blades you have, and it opens up various stories and things. And
oh, cool.
Each blade has a skill tree, right? And that skill tree has a possible 50 nodes on it. The majority of blades you just have to use in combat, and most of them will open. But there are a lot of them where you'll have to go and do specific missions out in the world or something, and you'll every single one of them has some sort of kind of in-game story thing that will happen with them. That's pretty cool.
To make sure I'm following, blades are not actually weapons. They're the personas that you're talking about. They just call them
basically.
Okay, because in my head I was thinking you're holding a sword, but I'm I don't know if that means
you do get a sword, a weapon with them too.
Oh,
there's I don't remember how many categories of weapons, but let's say there's 15 different weapons.
Okay.
So your regular character guy will have skill points he can spend to do things with those weapons, but each blade has an element and a weapon assigned to them, and they're designated whether they're attack class or tank class or whatnot. But I don't remember where I was going with that. But the when you're playing in combat, the combat's still the Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles X style combat, where it's this, I always want to compare it to Final Fantasy 12, even though they're vastly different. Just because it's that live, you're still in kind of the MMO thing, where your guys are automatically attacking. You're only controlling your main guy, and then you're telling him to do certain actions at certain times. But there's no pause combat thing. but like the way the battle system's constructed, and they baby step you into this quite a ways. And by baby step, I mean they introduce one mechanic. 3 to 4 hours later, maybe they'll introduce the next mechanic.
Oh boy!
So you're gonna get the good 20 hours of unlocking all the mechanics to the game. And honestly, like, I'm on chapter 8 out of 10 or something like that, and not too long ago they just added a new mechanic to me. It's a minor one. It's just now this blade can do this special thing in battle when you press this. But
would you say like the biggest draw for you right now is the combat and the gameplay, and not so much the character and the inspired story?
Yeah. It's very opposite with me with this game for some reason. Like all the female characters in the game. Well, okay, not all of them. Most of the female characters in the game are pretty overly sexualized, and like it's done by the camera too. Like,
I think I got that from the trailer. I think I might have seen something like that where I was like, "That's an awful long shot right there at that one spot."
Like the first time you meet the main female character, which is going to be your blade, which is Pyra in the game.
Okay.
The camera introduces you to her chest first.
Right.
And then it introduces you to the rest of her. So, thankfully, like when you're out running in the world, like you're stuck for the majority of the game with whoever the primary blade for the character is. Like one of the other party members' names is Nia, and her blade is named Dromek or Dromark or something like that. But he's like a big white tiger lion hybrid thing
that sounds cool.
He speaks very proper and is concerned with manners.
Oh my god, I love it.
But like I got to a part in the game where now I can switch everything around. Like they don't have to have their main thing on, but something I didn't realize is I can make like her the character I can be running around the world. And when I did that, and I had her equipped with Dromek in her top slot, she was riding him like a horse.
Awesome.
I need to play it right now.
That's cool.
But again, the story's like real bland and real, like, you know that thing that occasionally JRPGs do where, or not JRPG, it's not just JRPGs, that's unfair. It's really all games where you're like, I'm doing really well in this fight. I just kicked that guy's butt. And then you see the cutscene after and they're like, no, you didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I barely made it.
Yeah. That is every single fight in this game. Your characters are entirely desperate after every single fight that you have.
No.
And I am convinced that no one ever dies in this game, even though I wish some people would.
So, can you raise the difficulty in the game, or is it like all just one difficulty?
I don't know. I haven't looked. I mean, it's honest, like, how well do you remember that combat system from Xenoblade? Like with the
I remember a lot of people yelling all the time.
The break.
It's rhyme time.
Yeah, exactly.
There's plenty of that. Everyone calls out all their moves. And the voice acting is nowhere near as good in this game as it was in that first one.
Oh no.
But you're complimenting the first game's voice acting though.
This must be real bad.
I don't I remember there being some sort of charm to the first game's voice acting. And that's not really here. Like, your main kid in the party, Rex, like, he's kind of like if Vaughn decided to go scuba diving, but
you just
keep
said
a bunch
Rex,
of holes.
Which was Vaughn's older brother's name. So now
that's perfect.
Well, the second you said that, I'm immediately thinking of the older brother.
Techie Man in chat says it's one difficulty, but there are enemies that are suddenly level 80 in the area.
Yeah, so that first area, like one of the first free roam areas you're put into in Gourmand,
the Japanese voice pack
is covered in like level 80 to 100 like enemies. So
what?
And you're level 2.
Yeah, like there are regular enemies too, but like the big enemies roam around. It's a very frustrating area to start out in.
Yeah, it's like that joke at the beginning of Final Fantasy XII with the dinosaur, except not a joke.
Yeah. I had a dinosaur moment in this. I thought I was going on a quest that I was fine for, and then I walked into an area and this like 80-foot tall T-Rex bursts through a wall and eats me.
No.
He kind of kills me. They don't have a eat me animation, but...
Icetown in chat says, I switched to Japanese voice pack almost immediately because of that. Have you tried the Japanese voices?
I haven't, because I guess I don't care that much.
Well, you're already like 120 hours in, so it's going to be a little...
Yeah,
it would be jarring at that point.
Like, it's mainly, like, they have this mechanic in the game called salvaging. Like, Rex is a salvager, so his role in life is he goes into the Cloud Sea to salvage old equipment and sell it.
Oh, God,
so
I love it.
they made a mini game for salvaging.
I love it.
When the game started, I was really worried that was going to be the primary focus of the game. And luckily, it's not. They have a bunch of salvage points, but mostly it's you walk up to one, you say, okay, I want to do it, and then you get 3 button prompts you have to do, which I got to tell you, going to a Nintendo platform after playing like PlayStation and Xbox for like primary for the last few years makes...
Where is the X button in the dark?
Where's the X button?
Incredibly difficult.
I don't know.
XY. Got it.
And I feel like there's something wrong with my Switch because I've been getting like slight button delays, like because I get it in Xenoblade and I get it in Mummy Remastered too, but I didn't really notice it anywhere else, so I need to figure that out. But right. So the world of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like that's one of the big, really cool parts because the first Xenoblade Chronicles you were just on 2 giants. Well, this world is evidently a giant cloud sea with a bunch of titans walking around it, and the titans are the land masses that everything's built on.
Yeah.
So
that's
you
cool.
Occasionally see like one of their heads in the distance or something, and like you can go to an inn and change the cloud sea level, like by resting a certain amount, so that you can access certain areas you may not have been able to.
Wow.
This is like Skies of Arcadia mixed in with some Xenoblade, and I'm already in love with
Skies of Arcadia was so
world.
good.
It's this game does have a little bit of a rough start, but like the combat system I think is fairly challenging. So I don't think I'm just now, I think I have my friend Dave who's played all these games, and I got to this chapter 7, which I hated chapter 7 in this game. Like, luckily chapter 8 brought me a little bit back. And then going and playing a bunch of side quests brought me back more. Like, because at the end of chapter 7, I was like, I was going to sing your praises, game. Now I'm going to trash you.
Love Skies of Arcadia too.
I've never played Skies of Arcadia.
It's really good. But you're
probably one of my favorite RPGs.
It is probably one of my top favorites. But
not that I'll ever be able to find an affordable copy, but if I did, with the PlayStation or Dreamcast, would be the better console.
I don't know. Dreamcast had a problem where the enemy encounter rate was way too high that the remake fixed. But it's kind of hard to find.
Wasn't there a GameCube version?
Oh,
GameCube too, yeah.
Maybe it didn't release on PlayStation. Maybe it didn't. I know a GameCube and Dreamcast for sure. Okay. Hey, only $181 for a GameCube.
Oh, no big deal.
Pocket change. I'm not trying to save money and
my gosh,
pay off everything this year.
They really need. That is one of the games that ought to be on like some sort of classic release for Nintendo or whatever.
Steam release at the very least or something.
Because that game was real good.
Yeah.
Who made that game?
Sega.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was Sega's like Dreamcast heyday where they had all those different studios like Smilebit, A2M, and all them that were making basically whatever they wanted, and one of them spit out Jet Set Radio, and one of them spit out Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah. 2 amazing games.
Yeah.
Does Sega re-release anything besides Sonic anymore?
They've actually released a ton of their back catalog on Steam. Like almost all of their first-party Genesis games are on Steam for like $1 a piece.
I think Sega's done a lot more recently, and I don't know if it's... I'd like to think secretly that it's partially because they've actually integrated like a lot of Atlus's bigwigs into their circle. And I like to think that that's a big reason why they've changed. But there's a lot of things that's happened with them in the past few years.
Sega should give Atlas Shining Force.
There you go.
I want that to happen now. I don't know why I never thought of that before. Anyway, so Xenoblade Chronicles, right. I'm trying to think what else there is to say about it. Like, the music is alright, it's serviceable, but like the...
Is it just generic RPG music, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's orchestrated, so I mean, it's nice. It's just nothing, like, stand out, but...
Let me see who did the music for that.
Again, as long as it doesn't ruin the game. That's
the story ruins the game, but, like, running around in the world... I'm sorry, the story is just so dumb.
Is it, like, 13-2 dumb, or...
Oh, no. That's I think 13-2 probably has a little bit of charm to it. No, this is...
No.
It's just very much a story written for, like, a 13-year-old kid.
Right.
Okay.
And, like, I think in terms of the understanding of real life in the world, like, it's... it's almost a harem anime, like, Shonen Jump, like, style story.
Right. I'll defeat the villain with the power of friendship.
Yeah, he says that. He says that almost verbatim in battle. He says the power of friendship. It is amazing. It's
so go in with low expectations for the story.
Yeah, that is one thing I like about the main character Rex. Is he's so overly, like, positive and optimistic. Like, it's, what video game characters are ever like that? Like, and not secretly a sociopath or something weird.
That's the chapter 10 twist. He's actually the bad guy the whole time.
Yeah. But it's also like every woman in the game, like, has a thing for him, seemingly.
Oh, of course.
So, like, that's what I mean. Like, it has a little bit of, like, a Tenchi Muyo or something in it.
Right.
It's not quite that level, I mean, Tenchi Muyo, that was the joke of the series.
Admittedly, when you already told me about how the females were, like, kind of sexualized, I was already thinking this was a little bit of, like, a little bit of a fantasy for a guy. So I was already expecting some every female character.
They do have, like, I think Nina's an alright female character, and she's not I don't think she's sexualized at all. And Morag is a character I like quite a bit in the game, and she's kind of she's basically Naoto from Persona 4.
Okay, that's all right.
Except, she has the job and is well respected, like, in her community. But
I'm still gonna play it. It was a Christmas gift, so
nice.
Oh, nice.
I gotta play it.
There's a lot to like in this game. Like, having all the side quests for all the different blades is kind of freaking awesome. Like,
yeah, that's cool.
There are side quests for these in-game gotcha sword weapons things.
Yeah, so there are around, like, 39 or 40 of them, and, like, to unlock some of their skills, you have to go do some of their side quests. And some of them, like this one I had to do recently was it's I can't remember her name, but she has a big giant gun, and she looks kind of like a goth marionette puppet thing. And I've been sending her out on these mercenary missions with my other blades, and she's basically just been spying. And then she decided she got tired of that because she didn't want to be away from the main character. So, like, what you had to do is you send her on this mercenary mission, and then you go out and you're basically pulling, like, a pincher move on this enemy. And so you get a, cutscene battle thing there, and then it extends beyond, okay, now we got to go hunt this person down. And it's kind of every beat of the story, you'll get a little, 10, 15-second cutscene or something with her.
They can get tired of going out on these missions and tell you.
That's not a random event that happens.
It's like part of her story, like her loyalty mission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's not that cool.
Okay. Jesus.
No. They just all have their, hand-woven stories that the developers made for them. So,
right.
I love it.
Like, this one is a like they have a race in the games called No Pawns, which is basically Choo Choo from Xenogears.
Yeah.
The No Palms were in the first one, weren't they? The little...
Yeah.
I think so. They lived in that tree.
Yeah, they're... well, they kind of live everywhere here, but they're, little 3 feet tall furball things with, like, weird...
Little
like
weird
hands
ears
on their hand.
Is it hands? They look like big floppy ears, but I guess they don't have hands, so that must be their hands.
They use them as hands. I think they might have hands in addition into those. But there's a blade that is basically like a Nopon god that is like this giant big ball thing.
Oh, I love it.
It's like King Frost from Persona.
Yeah.
I'm already 100% in this.
I see Mina's next 300 hours.
Right.
And for him to unlock his various skill trees, you have to stock a bunch of food, which is a little bit annoying, but it's pretty easy.
That's pretty good.
Oh my god. This is great.
There's a lot to love in this game. Like, the story itself, out of the 120 hours I played, is probably 20 hours or something. I've spent the majority of my time doing side quests and exploring and looking for unique monsters and things, and it's if you're going to play the game, I'd say you probably want to follow the story until like chapter 3 or 4, with occasionally stopping to grind. But like once you get the mercenary group, I think you're good and free to start doing the all the side quests. Like I feel like that would be the optimal like arc of time to spend in the game. But
right.
Anyway, I'm still really enjoying it. I haven't decided whether I'm going to beat the game or just do all the side quests. But I did go ahead and buy the overpriced DLC, which felt a little dirty because most of what they've released right now is just, here, have a bunch of extra supplies in the game, which is nice, but with kind of the gacha system in it, it's also like, you're thinking about it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Just adding a summon pack thing. But, with only like I think it's 39 unique blades, and you get like at least a dozen of them from either the story or side quests, so you don't have to get them all randomly.
Right.
So like I think they really have a pretty limited potential for that, so hopefully they won't. But I guess in May they're going to release some more blades that you can get for it. And then in the fall, they're going to release a story pack DLC and some sort of new game plus. So,
wow.
I'm excited.
Other than that, I guess real briefly, the phone games. I've really barely played them. I got let's see. I'll start with Fire Emblem, since you guys don't usually play that one.
They gave us 50 gems.
Seriously, that's what I wanted to bring up. That was awesome. Yay for that. Like, if you haven't played the game, like, just go log in right now and get 50 gems and summon to your heart's content.
Nice.
And I swear, I don't know what it is. I will not get a single gold for the entire month. And then, like, the day before we record PUP, like, I pull, like, literally, like, 3 or 4 of them. I now have 3 versions of Azura.
I have 2 of that New Year's one, the Yukata one.
Yeah.
I have 2 of that one now, and I pulled a couple other units. I don't remember them all too well because I have like 3 of the Christmas units because I wasn't here for the last PUP, so I didn't get a chance to bring that up. I didn't get the Crom one, but I did get Tharja, Lissa, and Male Robin Christmas.
Well, I'll tell you, Christmas Tharja is wearing less clothes than Xenoblade characters, so...
Okay. I do not know, like, who okayed that outfit.
It's not a use in public unit.
It is...
Yeah.
Really, really, really
I mean,
not...
skimpy bikini, you know.
Skimpy bikini. That is...
Exactly what you want to wear around Christmas.
I don't know how to put it other than that.
Yeah.
I also got I got a couple of units. I did when I got the 50 gems. I kept trying to go for that new Ike. I don't even know if he's good or not. I got him though.
All the Ikes are good. I did not get the Ike. I was going for him too, but I did get the green priestess chick. And the blue priestess chick that you get with the story is amazing. So
I have 2 of her.
Oh, nice.
Fjorm? I don't know if that F is silent.
Fjorm is the blue one.
Oh, never mind then. I got 2 of the blue one, not the green one.
Okay.
I tried, but I failed.
Hey, a +3 Fjorm, if you combine her together, it's gonna be freaking amazing. So, yeah, I have to play the game to get good pulls, evidently. I keep thinking that can't be true, and it's true. If I spend the day playing it, and then go to pull the next day, I will hopefully get something. But I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get that Ike, since I have the other 2 Ikes, and the other 2 Ikes are amazing. But, yeah, it's okay. But that game's... Every time, I'll get, upset at that game for not giving me the units I want. But then I go to play it, and I'm like, man, they did a good job at this game.
Yeah.
So, I need to finish out the, that one mode that I hate, that I don't hate as much anymore.
The Tempest
do
Trials
5
or
battles,
something?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because the 5-star character is only at 15,000 points. And with the bonuses, you get 2 bonus battles each day. So you could potentially earn 2,000 points a day. Or, well, okay, on the level difficulty I play at, you can potentially earn 2,000. I think if you go to the highest one, you could earn 2,500 or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. That's a neat game. And then, man, I fell off of Brave Exvius a lot. I'm still logging in. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just getting in and getting all the friends the presents, and then
yeah. Till recently, that was me too. This story mission I've gone into to just get a bunch of lapis, but beyond that, I haven't had the time to play it.
I need to start doing that. I think having Xenoblade to carry around with me has kind of taken its place.
That's your mobile game?
Yeah. It's, granted I can't take it with me everywhere, but I've been working through my lunches at work lately, so I haven't been playing anything there.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten any, that Final Fantasy 12 event, I have not gotten a single character on the banner, 4-star or otherwise, in a month and a half. I've drawn 4 stars, they just aren't on the banner. I'm starting to feel something's wrong with my game.
I got lucky and I got Balthair, which is the only one I wanted, and I was like, all right, I'm good.
I'm awesome. That's awesome.
I ended up with 4 veins. So
not bad.
That's all I got. That and Larsa's. I got so many Larsas.
Yeah, I got a lot of Larsas.
You see, and when I pulled that Gilgamesh, I just said, screw it. I want something. I want one of these Final Fantasy things so that I can do this event and actually get something. And so then I spent 5,000 of my lapis, which is how I got that Gilgamesh that I posted about in Discord.
Well, Gilgamesh is really good anyway, so...
Yeah.
It's good. I'm now out of lapis.
And didn't pull something on banner.
I need to start doing story missions again.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's going to be there when I come back to it, you know?
Oh, yep. Yeah.
So, nice thing about this game. So
as long as, right now they've got a free, the free banner.
Yep, for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so even if you don't actually play all that often, make sure you go to the second tab of the summons.
Oh crap! I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the heads up.
Yep, yeah, it's still around for 10 or 12 days.
Yeah,
I may or may not be doing that exactly right
now. Beep 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 beep.
That's all I've been playing anyway. So.
All right, Mina. What about your corner this month?
So let's start with Monster Hunter World, and first of all, a big thank you to Moonpier, because when I pretty much said, "Yeah, I'm not going to be able to enjoy Monster Hunter World," he was like, you need to play it.
Slammed his fist down and said, "This will not stand."
I was like, I know, I want to, but I really have to watch my spending, because not bringing in any income, really. I mean, I bring in the tiniest amount, but it's definitely not enough that I can just buy as many games as I want. Yeah. So I made a decision that I was going to get V3 instead of Monster Hunter World. So that was a decision that I had to make. And I stand by that decision, because V3 was amazing, but it also hurt because watching so many people jump into World was like, I was like, I want to be a part of every that thing going on right now too. And
insert a Little Mermaid song here.
Right? Oh my gosh. So first of all, Monster Hunter World. I think it was a very, very smart move of them to not call this Monster Hunter 5, even though it is very much Monster Hunter 5, without a doubt. What they've done with Monster Hunter World is there were so many little things about the Monster Hunter series that I feel like a new person walking into it would be annoyed by, or just being like, I don't get this, or I don't understand this, or like, just, there's so many little things. And I don't mean like there was one big thing that would keep someone out. It's just death by 1,000 cuts.
It's one of those things where like you've been playing for 50 hours and like you start playing with someone new and they're like, hey, did you do you eat food before you go out on missions? And you're like, the what now? It's just like, you missed this huge part.
Yeah, but there's so much, and the game was never big on hand holding. I'll tell you that for sure. Yeah. That game just forgoes any hand holding. It's like, go kill the monster, have fun. And that comes with like its pros and cons. Like the pros are, if you know what you're doing, then you don't want to go through some hand holdy tutorial about like, here's how you do
here's
this.
How to swing a sword. It's just like, oh my god.
So it felt really bad when I first tried getting into Monster Hunter. I think I started with Try, but I don't even feel like I started with Try. I feel like I bought Try on a whim, and I kind of just played it without really giving it an effort. And I was just kind of like, oh, that's a Monster Hunter game, and I kind of threw it to the side and never touched it. But then 4 Ultimate came out. I think that was the next one in the line. And I said to myself, I was like, okay, I'm really going to try to do this time. I'm really going to focus. I'm really going to learn everything. And there were so many systems that I had to learn. Just so many. And it was very frustrating because like I was trying to get through it and trying to play it, and I was trying to receive help from people. But at the same time, it was just, I'm like, there's so much going on here. I could be playing any other game right now and not have near as much of a frustrating time with it as this. Like, right. I mean, Monster Hunter feels and plays almost like a Dark Souls game, but you don't need somebody telling you how to do everything in Dark Souls just so that way you can be somewhat competent. Dark Souls, again, doesn't really do too much hand-holding for you. It just kind of throws you out there. But everything is, like, a lot easier to just absorb and take in, whereas Monster Hunter just layers and layers of stuff. And the worst part is so much of it wasn't modernized to, like they just kept using the same system over and over from the next game. And then so if you were somebody who was there from the beginning, none of this was difficult for you to understand. You just jump right into it and be like, oh, this is all the same. And then they'd add more complexities on top of what, you already know. And you were like, okay, so I just have to learn, a couple more systems and I got it. But that made it so impenetrable for anybody else.
Right.
That I always felt that was kind of like an unfortunate side effect to the whole thing, because I was like, this game is it's really good once you really get into it, but it has a huge walled garden that really does not want people in.
Yeah.
So, right away, I will say this. Monster Hunter World has pretty much thrown all of that little stuff out. There's still a lot in the game that you have to learn, but I'm telling you, it is nothing compared to what the previous Monster Hunters did. It has a lot of things that I feel are really great, such as like whenever you're wanting to craft the next tier of your equipment or whatever, you'd go into the forge and you'd be like, okay, I need to get X amount of these, X amount of those, and just like so many things that you needed to remember. I need to collect all these. So you get out a piece of paper before and you'd write all this down, like,
or you pull up the wiki page.
Right, wiki page, whatever. The game actually lets you put it on like a wish list or something, so that way when you collected it all, it says, hey, you've collected everything you need to make your weapon. Come on, let's go make it.
Cool.
And so that is such a relief.
Yeah.
I can't even put that into words. It's like, so now whenever I'm queuing up things that I want to make, I'm just like, I'm going to queue up, these 5 or 6 pieces of gear that I want, and I'm just going to go out and hunt, and when it says, ding, your thing, you can make it, I just run over, make it, and everything's all happy that way.
That's great.
That is a quality of life that needed to be done a while ago.
Yeah.
There's just, I can't even, it's really nice. It's really nice, and I think that this will actually get a lot of people into it that might not have been into it before. And I also feel like it's really smart of them to just drop that number, because now people aren't going to see it as like, oh, well, this is the 5th one in the series. Well, I haven't played 1, 2, 3, 4, so I don't know if I want to get into that. So dropping that kind of makes it feel a lot more open. Making the game a lot less complicated makes it more open. Before, you had to make like 2 separate sets of gear for types of jobs. And now they just have it 1 set of gear for every job. It's just every job can equip this one thing. Instead of having like this arbitrary, in order to get a certain stat on your equipment, you need a plus 5 or plus 10 or plus 15 of this stat to add up to get that buff on your character. It's just, if you have a plus 1 of that stat, you get a plus 1 of that stat. If you have a plus 5 of that stat, you get a plus 5 of that stat. Instead of, well, if you don't have 5 and you only have plus 4, you don't get anything. So, like,
this weird Monster Hunter math where it's like, you need to get plus 5 to get plus 1. It's like, yeah, I'm out.
And I feel like it wasn't always like the same. Like some stats you didn't need plus 5, you needed like plus 6. So it wasn't the same. Like, I'm telling you, this was one of those things that I was just like, I do not like that at all.
Well, that's what made Monster Hunter really infamous, was this sort of understood level of complexity, whether it was true or not for some of the systems. But, I felt like Monster Hunter was always famous for 2 things. One was, it's complex and not always difficult, but it can be pretty complex. And the other one is, you need to have friends because you're going to have to play with friends. And I feel like Monster Hunter World making the game so much more accessible has sort of broken both of those things and said, if you want to play a Monster Hunter, like, this is really the best place to start, because you play with a whole bunch of people online. There's the level of complexity has brought down pretty considerably, and they just made the game much, much easier to get into. And I think that's why you're seeing so many people, like Yakuza from last year, see so many people picking it up and saying, oh, okay, now I get this game, and I also get why people like it, and I like it.
And one of my most favorite things that I just remembered that the game has was, before, when you had to like do multiplayer and stuff, you had to like create a hub, and you had to get people to come join your hub, and then you go out and hunt together. Now let's say I'm in a hunt, and it goes way over my head, and I'm like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it by myself. I'm failing, but I don't want to quit. I've already put in enough effort. I can just fire off a flare in the game, and this sends like a little SOS, please help me do this thing. And then random people who are just searching, let me see if I can help somebody out. They go to the SOS portion of the multiplayer section, and they can see what quest I'm on, how long I've been in this quest, and what my level. They can see all that information and be like, oh, she needs help. They just come drop in and help me. And you can do that at any point in time with story missions, with just, regular hunts on and about or whatever. And so I've been able to just, whenever, I haven't had like that moment of like, I can't do this yet, but the fact that I can do that now where I couldn't have done that before has been kind of like a nice feeling where it's like, well, I won't fail a mission anymore. Because in previous Monster Hunters, when things got really bad for me, I'd just be like, well, I'm not going to be able to defeat this, so I'm just going to fail, and I will go hunt something else and grind and practice, and I'll come back to it and see if I can do it then, and if not, I guess I'll be stuck here. I guess that's it. I guess that's it. So that's a really nice. I don't know if it's just me. It probably is. My camera for you is all blurry. Boston.
It's Skype being weird.
Skype being weird. Okay.
Yusuf and I were having a little Skype weirdness too.
Ah, good. As long as it's not everyone.
Oh yeah, I always forget that you do two cameras.
Oh yeah.
So when it comes to Monster Hunter World, it comes with my highest recommendation. If you feel like you weren't ever able to get into the series before, I feel like this is like the best chance to really get into it if you want to. And if you've always felt that like Monster Hunter seemed way too intense for you in the past, this is definitely the one to give it a shot with, because I don't think it's going to get any better than this as an entry, because right now I'm sure everybody is playing it, and
yep.
It's a nice thing is that this isn't region locked. So I've had some Japanese players hop into the world and help me too.
Oh, cool!
And they are incredible. They
have Monster Hunter down.
They come in with crazy looking gear, crazy looking, like, it is insane.
The cavalry rides in.
It just I feel like, how do I describe it? Like, as like, if you play like an MMO or something and you're like a level 1 character and you're wearing like a bunch of brown t-shirt, slacks, and boots, and you're just walking around, and then you see like this guy with blue angel wings fly in with crazy flowing robes and like
a tiger that breathes fire
flying off of them, and he's just swinging a sword, and you're like, holy smokes. Whoa. This guy came in, and I didn't know what to think. I was like, this is the most anime thing ever, and
yeah.
He pretty much walked up to that monster and just did like 3 slashes, and it was dead. And I was like, Jesus, can I do that? It's incredible.
I keep wanting to bite on this game. I really can't afford a game right now. But
yeah,
like, all the hype around it is just like one. It seems like everyone got it for Xbox, at least.
Yeah.
I'm on PS4 with.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 other people in the TVGP community that are on the PS4 with me. I haven't played with them yet, but if they want to play, they my handle there is the same as the one on Twitch. So Mina KO Rocket, just come on, and we can go do hunts together. Friend me, and we'll go slay some monsters.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I mean, Musim,
if you describing it too with like the systems evolution, I'm like, that sounds exactly like Warfare. I know the gameplay is like night and day for Warplay, but that's what they've done, is they've just tacked on systems on top of systems on top of systems.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's great, and I feel like people should come on into the Monster Hunter world. It's all good.
Yeah.
So one of my big concerns about Monster Hunter World games has always been, what is there to really motivate you forward and keep playing the game? Because I've always gotten the impression that the story is kind of almost non-existent, and that it's really just kind of about upgrading gear. Like, is there?
It's kind of, so this one actually seems to have a semi-competent story. I don't quite know what the whole story is, because I haven't beaten it, but very much you're a character that's leaving the old world and going to this new world that's been untamed, or that you're just running around in. Something happens on your way there. I'm spoiling like the first 10 minutes of the story. Something happens on your way there, and it's basically set the stage for what I feel like is, okay, that's probably going to be the final boss. And it's really mostly, I would just call it like, Monster Hunter's like fighting bosses all the time and upgrading gear to fight bigger and stronger bosses. So I suppose the fun is in the whole taking down these monsters that have been built with an AI that's complex enough that it's enjoyable over doing many, many, many times. And I think that's the fun in it.
It has been weird reading all these articles where people are feeling bad whenever the monsters start to limp away.
Oh, limp away.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, and like limping, and you're like, well, it's time to either do the finishing blow or throw a net on it and carry it back.
I need those horns.
Need them.
What do you do when you, like, what do they do with it when you capture one?
The game seems to, at least in the case of the one character that I spoke to, they take like some like living sample stuff off of them and then let them go. Like they kind
Put
of
a microchip and throw it back in the water.
I maybe. They apparently want to do like some sort of like studies on it and see how like what exactly makes them tick and what exactly makes them do whatever they do, and then they release them back out in the wild. Then sometimes you just kill them just because.
Yeah. Accidents happen.
Well, I think like they become like a pest at some point. Like some monsters, like, oh, this one's being a pest and really destroying like this monster's habitat, so we need you to call its numbers or whatever.
Right.
Gotcha.
That sort of thing. So that's Monster Hunter World, and aside from a bunch of mobile games and Danganronpa V3, I didn't really... I played Ultra Despair Girls. That's what... Okay. Let me do that one. Okay. So, Ultra Despair Girls. I started Ultra Despair Girls, and right from the get-go, really crazy. But I mean, that's expected.
This is really a thing.
This is... I think what's nice about Ultra Despair Girls is that if anyone plays Danganronpa 1 and Danganronpa 2, there is one thing that you kind of really want to see. You really want to see what the world is like. Like, what is
right.
the place that's not where you're at right now like? And
the game often calls it the outside world.
Yeah, the outside world. So what is... You really want to see that. Like, what is that place like? And Ultra Despair Girls delivers on what that world is like. And it gets it's a little... There's a lot of creepy stuff immediately. I've already seen a lot of characters... I've seen a lot of characters that I wanted to see. And I hope I see more. I don't know if we'll see more. I hope I see more. I don't want to spoil anything about it because I feel like even though it's not a visual novel, it very much is. There's a heavy emphasis on the story, and the combat isn't as important to the game as I feel the story will be.
Well, it's laying on top of the story of two other games too. That the premise of Ultra Despair Girls spoils a lot of those two games.
Yeah, I would definitely say immediately, without a doubt, it's gonna spoil the first one, and the second one I feel like it spoils because characters.
Right.
So because Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls takes place in between the first and the second game in the timeline. Okay. Even though you should play it after the second game, because it would spoil the second game if you played it between. If you would play it between, I feel like it would spoil the the second game. So it's really weird that it's supposed to take place before it, but you should play it after.
Yeah.
I don't have too much to say about it because I only just started. The only thing that I feel like I'm gonna really hate by the end of this game, if I can't figure out how to fix it, is the camera controls.
Oh yeah.
So they have auto camera and manual camera, and when it comes to like which one would I prefer, I'm really good at being able to operate a manual camera while moving. Because
it's just like a third-person shooter, basically.
Yeah, you're doing like over-the-shoulder cam, basically. The problem is that the manual camera moves so slowly, like it does not want to move at all. So you almost have to stop the character dead in her tracks and turn the camera, but it's still going to go at like 1/3 of the speed that you'd want it to, and that's without moving. If you start moving, it moves even slower to turn. Yeah, so it's impossible is my thinking. So I thought, well, maybe there's a button that I can do like a quick switch. Like you can like automatically, if she's facing towards you, you could press a button and the camera would flip it so that way you're facing, okay.
Like a lock-on almost.
Yeah, a lock-on. That does not, it's not there. So I hate that. So I was like, okay, I have to do auto camera. But the problem with auto camera is that it's like the utter opposite of that. You try to move in any direction and the camera's like, what's that? What's that? What's that? And it's like whiplash. I'm like, please, just like, I'm trying to like make careful movements here. And this but the game just like, you can only have it one way or the other way, okay? You either want it super fast or super slow. And I'm just like, oh, okay. But I'd rather have super fast than super slow, because super slow was
literally getting you killed.
It was. I could see it getting me killed in the future, because the things that I'm fighting just pop out of nowhere, and I do not need a camera going really, really, really slowly when I need to stop whatever's coming at me.
Yeah.
So that's my only criticism so far of the game, and I haven't played that much. I've only played like about like an hour and some odd minutes.
You're releasing on your YouTube channel too, right?
Yeah,
wants to watch.
Yeah, I'm doing a Let's Play of it, because I feel like what I'm trying to do with a lot of my uploads and my streams is I really want to make sure that I put things that work better for a Let's Play on my YouTube, and things that I just really wouldn't want to edit down, because it's way too much work to just do streams of that. Speaking of that, because I'm kind of curious, which way would you say Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is? Is it like fast paced enough, Musum, that you would stream it, or is it something that I would have to edit so much of it out to make it work?
I mean, it's not you always have something going on the screen, like, to that degree. But
it's Ryan time!
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to be yelling their battle slogans every 3 seconds. And, like, when you get, like, your blade combo and elemental combos, like, at the same time, you have, like, it seems like somehow your party has more voices that are yelling at the same time when that happens.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I'd want to put on the Japanese voice pack, just because when it's in another language, maybe it won't catch my attention as much.
You don't want to hear him say the power of friendship?
No, nope, I'm good.
No, I want to hear that in Japanese.
It's, I don't know, I think it'd be fine for streaming. It's just a lot of that game is wandering around, killing things, gathering materials. Like, in terms of doing the story, I mean, that's probably fine, but, you're going to get your butt kicked a few times in the story and then need to go kind of reassess, what you need to bring into battle, on whether you need to change what elements you're bringing or whatnot. So,
yeah. I kind of figured, based on what you were saying, it sounded more of a stream game over one that I have to sit and edit for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it'd be honestly, it's I think Final Fantasy 12 in terms of Final Fantasy 12's hunts and wandering around that world and how long that story is. Like, I feel like those... no, I'm just saying, I feel like that's a good comparison in how Xenoblade kind of rolls. Like, while they are vastly different games in many ways, I still think they kind of occupy a similar JRPG space with kind of the MMO combat system and automatic attacks and things like that. So,
I'm excited to start that one.
Yeah, like you'll get a solid, like, it is a pretty bad intro, in my opinion. Maybe you'll hopefully I'm lowering your expectations so you'll start playing. You'll be like, oh, this is let's
do that.
Yeah.
So, like, I really hate the intro. Like, the first hour of the game, like, I played the first hour and I'm like, this is terrible, and then put it down for a month. Like, because I got this when it came out, because, you know, those collector's packs for these Xenoblade games go for a lot of money.
Yeah.
But when I picked it back up and went into the mission and it let me loose a little bit, like, that's when I really started enjoying it. So, but I think you'll have, the first hour or so of the game is almost, it's like, here's 20 minutes of story, now here's a town with 50 shops in it.
Holy smokes.
And go buy this thing and trade for this thing. We're teaching you about the game, even though you have no context for how to remember this. And
I'll treat it like a Persona game then, where I'm going in with the expectation that I'm not going to actually play the game for at least 4 hours, and then I can play.
It's not quite to that extent, but yeah, it'll be. You'll have a good solid, like, probably 2 hours, and then you'll get to your first dungeon, and then after, like. It took me probably, like, it had to have been like 5 to 8 hours before I finally got a third-party member.
Wow.
Like, it takes a while.
A lot of streaming.
Whoa. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good for streaming. Yeah, I think you'd probably be doing a lot of editing on YouTube unless you just want to show everything you're going to do, which
I tend to hate doing that.
And you're going to have lots of instances on the quests where, like, you see the quest marker on your map, but you can't figure out how to get over there because there's a giant chasm in between you and it, or there's something blocking you, and you have to find the whatever that gets you around. Especially in the Gourmand area, like, they have a lot of kind of vertical tree areas that, like, when you first go to that area, like, you would never picture anything like that existing, but there are a lot of areas in those trees that you have to get to complete some of these quests, and some of them you need to get to at high tide, and some of them you need to get to at low tide, so it's,
jeez.
Don't be afraid of Googling this.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have the wiki right up next to me.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of disappointed in the wiki.
Oh, no.
It's, like, they have entries for everything, they don't have pictures for everything, which is an issue when you're trying to find a place on the map.
Right.
Which is usually the key to Xenoblade, but...
I'll create
over your...
No, I'm going to create a wiki account, and then I'll be taking pictures, and I'm going to help that wiki out.
Do it. That would be awesome. I will thank you forever for doing that.
That's my goal, because I'm already excited about this. It sounds like my type of game. I've always loved those, like, huge character casts, like Chrono Cross. I've always liked that sort of game, and with the Gacha Blade thing, it sounds like I'm gonna have a lot of characters, which I like a lot.
The blades are my main draw. Like, like, your main party is like 3 characters, and I think you get up to a total of 6 characters or something throughout the game that can switch in and out. But each one can equip 3 blades, and you only see one of those blades on the field, but they'll switch them on and off in combat. So,
my god, I'm excited.
Yeah, the blade system is really what makes me excited about the game. Like, the blade system and the combat system. And honestly, like, I feel like I know the combat system better now, so that I can go back to the older games and maybe not suck as bad at them.
So, anyways, I didn't play that much of Ultra Despair Girls yet. I need to do another recording session for it. But yeah, it's already, I can tell it's going to be good. The story's already at what I wanted, what I was hoping for, and the only thing I did was also beat Danganronpa V3, but I think we'll talk more about Danganronpa in your segment, Boston, so...
Yes, welcome to Boston's Danganronpa Corner. I have 5 Danganronpa things to talk about.
Let's Ropa the audience in.
Hey! Alright, let's start with Danganronpa 1, which is Trigger Happy Havoc.
Yep.
I somehow managed to go into this entire franchise pretty blind, other than knowing that Monokuma is the main villain, because Monokuma is just everywhere.
Yeah.
You've probably seen him. He's the black and white bear, which means that Monokuma is a really great joke of a name. I guess to preface this whole thing, I really don't want to spoil a lot for people because I know a lot of people still haven't played this series, and I want to encourage you to do so. I played 1 and 2 on the 1 and 2 Reload edition for PS4. That's the version I would recommend. They added a whole bunch of extra stuff to Danganronpa 1 that they carried over from 2, and then added a whole bunch of side stuff to 2. And it was on sale for pretty cheap digitally, too. I really, really liked Danganronpa 1. I have to give Mina a lot of credit for encouraging me to go with the English voice acting, because it pays off. 1's voice acting is good. 2 and 3's voice acting are really good, and
yep.
It pays off if you play how intertwined some of this stuff is. It pays off if you start it in English. Makoto, the main character in the first game, his voice acting initially is real not good. It sounds like when someone would put the sort of anime that Musum's been talking about with the power of friendship, they would put it on Toonami.
He is generic protagonist guy.
Makoto. Yeah. But it eventually, because of the themes of the game, one of the main themes of the game is despair versus hope, and Makoto really embodies hope and that sort of positivity and optimism, and I think his voice eventually does fit that role. It's just sort of at the beginning you're like, oh, this voiceover is gonna be real bad, but everybody in that game is really, really great. The ultimate author, whose name I forget,
Tokufukawa.
Yes. Her voice acting is really, really good for reasons that are 100% spoilers for 3 games. But that is probably one of the most outstanding voice actors.
Her voice is great.
It's really good. I really liked 1. I really liked all of the characters. You know, you're supposed to sort of love and hate so many of those characters. And I think you get enough time with them throughout the game because, you know, I even before playing the game, I sort of understood, and playing it sort of backs us up, that it's sort of a combination. Danganronpa is a combination of the Killing Game from Battle Royale, the original book/movie, plus Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And like, those are the two halves. And on the Killing Game side, you do get to hang out a lot with your schoolmates, and I feel like you get to know, since it is a visual novel with sort of all this non-traditional visual novel stuff on top of the Phoenix Wright stuff, they do such a good job at both halves of the game, sort of introducing you to your classmates and getting you to really like or really hate them, and then how they write the investigations and the murder mystery is there's only one case in the entirety of the series so far that I was a little bit disappointed in. I think it was case 4 and 2. That was the closed room one.
Yes.
Because like each game seems to have like the one closed room mystery. That I really, every time that someone shows up dead, and you sort of, once you get the rhythm down, where you're like, I'm going to hang out with my classmates. I woke up this morning. Let's go check out this new whip someone did. You get into that rhythm, and it's always, you start getting anxious about finding one of your classmates dead, because they have to. If you want to escape, the whole rule of the game is, if you want to escape, kill somebody and don't get caught.
And the longer the game goes on, the more you get to know the characters, and the more you get to know the characters, the more you really don't want certain characters to either kill or be killed, because you know it's not going to be a happy...
I only have like X number of people left, and I like all of you, but I know I'm not done, so I know at least one of you is going to just bite it pretty soon.
Yep.
I really liked 1. I think 1 is the shortest out of the 3 that I've played, but I don't think that's to its detriment. I think it's a very, very tight experience, and I think none of the investigations are too long. The game overall probably took me about 20 to 25 hours, and that was with me not really doing any extra stuff and not doing like the school life mode or whatever they call it afterwards. Yeah. That was really just me going front to back, and it's sort of hard to explain how enjoyable and great the class trial stuff is, because most of it is the characters arguing and trying to figure out why and how the person died, and then who did it, because basically you have to say, well, this person did it. If you get it correct, they get punished, aka killed. And if you get it wrong, then everybody else except for that person gets killed. So the stakes are pretty high to figure out not only who did it, but how they did it and why they did it. The class trial stuff is really crazy. The main feature of it is the nonstop debate, which is basically... anybody will hop in and say, well, I think this is why they did it. I think this is why they did it. And stuff is going back and forth. And I never looked up the translation of what Danganronpa means, but it makes sense, because you're shooting truth bullets into people's lies to try and break them down.
Yeah.
But there's also stuff like, hey, I'm going to complete an anagram by doing like sort of a moving word search. I'm going to use a sword to slash down arguments and disagree with people. At the very end of a case is my favorite thing, where you build the entirety of what happened with the case from front to back by building a comic book and like putting missing panels in for what happened in what places.
That's my favorite part.
That's probably one of my favorite pieces of music in the series too, is the building the comic book thing.
Yeah.
I would really... I know on TVGP recently I've said, well, you could start with 1 or 3. I take that back now that I'm deeper in 3 for reasons I don't want to explain. Start with 1.
I can't put it into words. You miss out so much by not playing 1 and 2.
Yep.
It's not like some other games where it's like, well, you can kind of fill in the blanks. I feel like you miss out on a little bit of what the writer was, or the creator was trying to do to set you up from 1 to 2 to 3. He does things to set up plots for you, and you kind of miss out on it by jumping into them.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that they do with Danganronpa, and one of the reasons why I like a lot of the games I do, like Metal Gear Solid 2 or Nier Automata games and Danganronpa series, is they're continually playing with your expectations. And we'll get to some of that with 2, but a big part of the reason why you should play this stuff and enjoy this stuff in order is because they're building on the base level knowledge you have, and then building up to expectations, and then sort of pulling those down, and then taking a hard left turn. So Danganronpa 1 and 2 Reload is on PS4, Vita, and Steam. 1 is really good, and I don't want to talk too much more about it, because the more you can go in blind, the better. And knowing what I know, I don't want to accidentally spoil anything.
Yeah.
But Danganronpa 1, 2 thumbs up. Danganronpa 2, Killing Harmony?
I just want to say really quick, I did read a rumor that they're going to bring Triple Despair Danganronpa out for Switch.
That'd be great.
Oh, man.
It'd be great if they would just bring 1, 2, and 3, and that would... That
I mean, that's what that has to be, right?
I would hope, because I would hope they wouldn't just put 3 out there and be like, I don't know, good luck. 'Cause that would be rough, but that would be a great platform for that.
Killing Harmony is the third one. I'm trying to remember what the second one's title is.
Beach Time Fun. I don't remember.
It's something.
2
is my favorite.
2 is probably my least favorite, but
oh no,
that is like if someone offers you your 3 favorite ice cream flavors, and you're like,
true.
You can pick 2 of these, and it's like, well, I still win out. I think 2's main problem that 1 and V3 managed to avoid is 2 doesn't really endear you to any of the characters very quickly. For me, it took a really long time to really like anybody except for Gundam Tanaka, because he's probably one of my favorite characters in the franchise overall. And I think that pays off pretty well near the end. One of my favorite things about Danganronpa 2, and it's a very, very minor spoiler for the beginning, is when you wake up on the island at the beginning, you're not introduced to Monokuma as you would expect to be. You're met with Usagi, I think is her original name.
Yeah, it's Moon Bunny or whatever, Usagi.
Yeah.
Usagi.
She welcomes you and says, like, to get off the island, all you have to do is just make friends with everybody. You've got this little crystal, it's got 5 things in it, fill up all 5 with everybody, and, like, the game smartly, when you start it up, you're like, okay, here's another killing game, like, let's get into it, someone's gonna die really quickly, and they give you enough time at the beginning to be like, wait, is this really just me gonna do? And then Monokuma shows up, and I was like, alright, okay, now we're gonna get into it. I think Danganronpa 2, in nearly every aspect, is such a huge leap over the first one. Not only voice acting, but the writing is incredible.
Yeah.
The characters are superb. You get... The first game takes place in just Hope's Peak Academy, but the second one takes place on this whole island system that you're trapped on. There are more mini games for the class trial stuff. I can't believe we even forgot to talk about the rhythm game section that comes at the end of a lot of... Your least favorite?
My least favorite, the rhythm game. I'm so bad at it. I don't understand why.
Until 3, it was not good. A lot of times I'm just hitting R1, and it's like, okay, we're just gonna blindly mash our way through this. I think that it's pretty funny because Danganronpa 1 makes a joke at its own expense, saying, you can make video games even if you don't have a big budget. You can make a visual novel. It's like, all right, yeah, that's pretty good. But it very much seems like the first game was a runaway success almost immediately, pretty much everywhere it was published. And you can tell with 2, they took the same engine, but they invested so much more time on graphics and storyline and making better mysteries. And
the mysteries are a lot better. I was hoodwinked on many of them. I did not know who had done it until I think in the first game maybe I'm too good at mystery solving. Maybe I've played a lot of Phoenix Wright games, so the first one I feel like I almost got every single one of them like halfway
right
through
away.
the investigation. I'm like, I got this.
Yeah, you're like, it's that dude. Come on.
It's I know who did this one, but I feel like with the second one, immediately maybe it was just the fact that the killer did a way better job of concealing the most important evidence or what have you, but it was a lot harder, and I had to suss out the information in the trial to come up with the exact answer. So there was a lot of anticipation in 2, because I would have an idea of who had done it, or I would have like a list of suspects, and that would bring anxiety into the trial that I had, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be this character or this character or this character.
Right.
Which is amazing, because they do that with the very first trial of Danganronpa 2 sets the stage for the entirety of the game.
Yeah.
You kind of get a feeling that like this is going to be a step up from Danganronpa 1 right away.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point, because I think what they were trying to do with the first one is very much, you go into the class trial. Whenever you find the dead body, there's sort of an arbitrary time limit that's story-based. It's not like there's a 15-minute on the screen or anything.
Yeah.
It's basically until Monokuma gets bored. And I feel like with 2, they finally got it right, which is you're going into a class trial sort of knowing half of the story, and then going through the class trial and knowing, like, picking up information that everybody knows, or, like, refuting lies and trying to figure out, like, if you sort of accuse this person and, you're pretty sure it's them, but if it's not, then you learn all this new information, and by the time you get to the end, you know for sure, even if that person hasn't admitted to it, you can build your case, you can build the comic book, and you've learned about half of the case by the end of it.
Yeah.
And the way that 2 loops in and around to the story that 1 told in pretty surprising ways was really, really great. Obviously not going to spoil it here.
No.
Although that would be pretty hard because of how meaty the second one turns out to be.
It is.
But both 1 and 2 are really incredible, and I think 2 took me probably 30 hours, so it also wasn't that crazy. 2 saw me rely on walkthroughs more heavily. The thing that 1 and 2 did that I still don't enjoy are basically being able to absorb somebody's statement and then shoot it off onto another one.
Yeah.
Every time one of those comes up, I'm sort of like, I don't know what to do here. Oh, I have to absorb. Okay, yeah. I guess those 2 hook up, but
it's like one of the things I always had problems with in the Phoenix Wright series was you might know the answer to what you need to get past it, but you don't know how to tell the game you know the answer.
Right.
So it's like, how do I get past this game? Tell me,
right.
Like, I know the answer, but I don't know which one of these things you want me to do to get that answer to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where a lot of times I'm like, I'll listen to the arguments for like 2 or 3 times. It's like, I don't really know. Oh, yeah. Okay, it's that. Did you watch Danganronpa 3, the anime?
I only watched a little bit of it and decided I am going to make sure I finish Ultra Despair Girls, because I know that there is I think there's 1 episode dedicated to Ultra Despair Girls.
There's about 10 minutes. Yeah. I watched the trailer for Ultra Despair Girls, like the 1.5-minute trailer, and that gave me enough to know what it's all about.
Yeah.
The Danganronpa 3 anime is really incredible. So the
from the little bit I saw, it's a little more intense.
It's a lot more intense, but I think so for people that haven't played the games, Danganronpa 1, 2, and then 3, the anime, sort of encompass the Hope's Peak Academy arc, as it's called. It all centers around that school in some form or fashion. Danganronpa 3, the anime, tells 2 stories. Sorry. One is Despair, which happens before the events of Danganronpa 1, and then Future, which happens after the events of 2. And the cool part is it's sort of answering a lot of questions on both ends. And I feel like if I talk too much about this, I'll spoil some stuff in 2, so I'm not going to. What is really great, and thank you again to Mina for explaining this to me, is basically you're going to watch the show in alternating sequential order. So you watch Future 1, then Despair 1, Future 2, Despair 2, etc., all the way through 13 episodes of both, and then you watch this episode called Hope, which clears up the first 2 games and the entirety of the anime. Sort of the whole thing gets cleaned up pretty nicely throughout the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And it's incredible. Like, I just... The only bad part about it is they didn't get the same voice actor for Monokuma in the English version.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy they have playing for Monokuma in the English one is really bad.
They didn't even try. It does not sound like an attempt was not made on this.
It is, like, I explained to my wife, I was like, it's almost like if you were to watch a new Disney movie and, like, you're looking forward to a Mickey coming on screen, and he comes on and he's like, hey, it's me, Mickey, what's up? I'm just like, that's not... That's not... What happened? Like, did I get the wrong copy? Like, so, like, part of the thing about Monokuma that I really like is the same reason I like 03 in Virtue's Last Reward, is it's this very cheery, very high-pitched character that is talking about pretty terrible things. And Monokuma is always... Whoever, the guy who does Monokuma's voice, and I think it's a different one in V3, does such a great job at towing that line between deranged optimism and then, like, when you trap Monokuma, he's always like, like he's begrudgingly giving up some sort of nugget of truth. And the voice actor for that does it great, and that high-pitched laugh that he's sort of famous for is great. And then, like, I can't do his laugh anymore because I've been talking for a while. Yeah, like that one. And then, like, watching the English anime, they got the majority of the voice actors back, which is great. Like, Makoto's back. Like, all the great people that you wanted to see are back, and they're giving their performances. And then Monokuma comes out, and it's genuinely like, who? And it's like, what the hell happened? He's like, it's me, Monokuma. It's just like, no, it's not.
What's funny is I think that voice actor is the same as the Danganronpa anime, the first anime. Is, yeah.
I went to go back and watch.
So they kept bad. But the problem is if you played the game, you only know the
real voice actor,
higher pitch one.
And I watched it in Japanese, which is really great. All those voices are great. Yeah. And what I didn't realize until I looked it up is the woman who plays Monokuma in Japanese played Doraemon in, like, the old classic anime, and that's why Japanese Monokuma is so beloved, because it's very, very close to Doraemon's voice, but a little twisted and a little bit crazed. I was like, well, that's really good.
That's great.
But the anime was really, really great. It's on Crunchyroll in order in Japanese. It's on Funimation out of order and in English. Funimation also released it on Blu-ray, and they released one arc in one box and one arc in the other box.
They shouldn't have done that. Crunchyroll did it right.
You just gotta switch discs, which is just to be fair, you can watch the arcs in order, but, like, you're missing so much of what makes that so interesting, because, like, between the first 2 episodes, you know, someone you meet in the future arc, the first episode, dies, and then you see the past arc through their eyes, and the very beginning is like, oh, so I guess I died in that, huh? Oh, that sort of stinks. It's like that character sort of reminiscing about the past as they're sort of dying, and there's some stuff in the future arc where it's like, you know, we've been friends forever. You know, why did you betray me? It's like that episode ends. The other episode is we're going to talk about the stuff before Danganronpa 1 where they knew each other, and here's, you know, where the seeds of that sort of stuff got got
so
laid.
it's very much flashbacks and then going back to the present, flashback, going back to the present. So and it's answering questions that are being raised in one episode, and then that will lead into the next episode. So there's like this really nice wave of back and forth that if you just watch it straight through, you're not going to get. And I feel like it's a little less satisfying to just watch one half and straight through and then watch the other half straight through.
And I feel like both of the arcs are answering different questions about different games. So it's better you get some like bomb about what happened in Danganronpa 2, and it's like, oh, okay, well in this one I'm getting some knowledge about Danganronpa 1, so it's a little easier to chew through there. So that's the Hope's Peak Academy arc. Did you play the Danganronpa V3 demo, Mina?
I was going to play the demo, but a couple of my viewers asked that I not play the demo because they wanted to see my reaction to being introduced to the characters without having any sort of demo information. However,
you missed out.
However,
okay.
I have since then heard about what was in the demo.
Okay, so part of the reason why I like the demo is, and a lot of the introductions to the characters you can skip past because they're just sort of standing in the hallways, so you can just move past them and not talk to them. The great part about the demo is it has nothing to do with the main game at all, which is really good.
Yeah.
And the majority of it is you get introduced to the main character, Kaede, from V3 by the main characters of the first two games helping you out with an investigation and then handing the baton of protagonist off to Kaede and saying, like, look, man, this is your show now. Like, you got to go on the class trial and do this. Which is really great. And the victim is the guy from Danganronpa 1 that no one liked.
Hagakure.
Yeah, Hagakure. And he's... Monokuma even at some point says, like, oh, it was just him that died? Oh, that's fine. We don't even need to have a class trial.
Yeah,
just
he was... I think he was great. The least liked character in both the ratings on Japan and everywhere else. He's kind of
finishing that demo, you got like 300 mono coins, a couple items, and like a skill that you take into the class trial. So it was probably about 45 minutes. If anyone hasn't played Danganronpa and you sort of want to know what it's about, that's a really good intro. It gets you through about half of a class trial, which is really good. And I am more than halfway through chapter 5 of Danganronpa 3.
Oh,
V3.
man.
I am like, I'm a man on a mission to just finish this game, just so I can figure out what's going on. I think Danganronpa V3 is probably the hardest one to talk about because I was upset with Spike Chunsoft because on the PS4 version, at the end of Chapter 1, they don't let you take screenshots anymore.
Yeah.
And that really frustrated me until I remembered there's a big event that happens in Chapter 1 that sort of turns the whole game on its head.
Uh-huh.
So nearly anything I share after that would be a huge spoiler, so it's like, all right, fine.
I had a difficult time when I was making thumbnails for
V3.
For V3 on my Let's Play. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to make sure that I make it ambiguous as much as possible as to what's going on. So I made a lot of my thumbnails look like cluttered messes intentionally.
Right.
And that's just because I was like, anything I post after this point is going to look like a spoiler.
Right.
So I don't...
Even if you don't mean it to.
Even if I don't mean it to, yeah. And that was... I mean, the thing is because I feel like, just like Danganronpa 2, Danganronpa V3's first case really sets the tone, of the entire game going forward. Like, it's the one that really... It means something for the rest of the thing. And what I really like about... And we can kind of talk about this vaguely, is... I feel like what they accomplished in the first case trial of Danganronpa V3 is what they were trying to accomplish in Danganronpa 1.
Yes. Yep.
But this was way more successful.
Yep.
And I think the writer himself has said that, like, you know, he's grown quite a bit with the series, and I feel like you can really see his writing being flexed here in the third game, that he's really figured out how to make a Danganronpa game at this point. And it's why I think, like, the third game will probably be, like, one of the strongest steps forward to basically... I feel like they're almost doing, like, a new... Well, I don't feel like it. I kind of can say that this feels like a brand new arc, a brand new Danganronpa universe starting. They're referring to it as, like, the juvenile... What is it? The Ultimate Academy for Gifted Juveniles arc. Yeah. Which is not a super snappy title, but doesn't roll off the tongue. But it's really nice, because I feel like this will probably set the tone for the next games that follow after. I don't know why a lot of people thought that he wasn't going to make anymore, but I didn't get that impression after playing the game.
That would be a real crime, because I think like you're saying, like the way that these cases are so twisty-turny, and the satisfying way of, like, there's such an ebb and flow to case trials. It's sort of hard to explain. I think people that played Phoenix Wright will get it a little bit, where you answer one question and then you say, okay, we figured that out, but what about this other thing? And, like, you sort of build up to it, to either, like, a nonstop debate or a question where you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, like, I'm looking through all my evidence. How did they do it? And then you have that aha moment where it's like, wait, they just said something, but that's not right, because I have this evidence that does this. And, like, you sort of hit that peak again. It's like, all right, now I answered that one, so let's work our way. And just the feeling of working your way through and, like, almost like brushing the dirt off of like the truth in this case feels so good. And the complexity of each of these cases, specifically the second one, was... It's so crazy, where you go into a trial and you're like, I sort of have an idea of all these pieces, how they fit together, and it's like, oh no, I really didn't. I was totally wrong, and this is awesome. I think they went above and beyond, both with the engine. It's sort of hard to explain, but the way you moved around Danganronpa 1 felt good. The way that you moved around the islands in Danganronpa 2 felt real bad. The camera was agonizingly slow on the PS4. Yeah. And the way you play on 3 feels the way that I think they were trying to make those games feel. Like, it controls correctly. And they fixed Hangman's Gambit, which is that anagram thing I was talking about before. That sucks way less than the 1 and 2. It's way more fun to play. They put a mini game in there where you're, instead of the like the half pipe grinding 1 and 2 that was kind of fun. They have the Psych Taxi where you're basically playing Crazy Taxi for a little bit. They have like a Minesweeper mini game. They fixed the rhythm game, where instead of it being like this weird half circle with dots on it, it's like a proper rhythm game where you have symbols on the screen that you're hitting in time. It's crazy how much better of a game V3 is than 1 and 2, and they didn't really need to. Like 1 and 2 played fine, but you go through and you play 3 and you're like, oh man, those were actually kind of not great games. They were great mysteries and great stories, but the actual playing of it wasn't super great. And I think, for me, except for one character in the game, I really, really like all of them. Only character I don't like is Gonta.
Poor Gonta.
Poor Gonta. I never really...
I don't think they fleshed him out very well.
And I never hung out with him, so I never really... For anyone that's listening that maybe
either.
didn't play, he presents himself sort of like a caveman, where it's like, Gonta won't be gentleman.
So what's unfortunate is the way that they handled Gonta's character on top of that, because that isn't how he was in the Japanese version. I've heard a lot of people have that huge complaint that he wasn't supposed to be like that.
Interesting. I'll have to go see it. Once I finish it, I'll have to go see some of that stuff.
In the actual version, he was supposed to be way more proper and not dignified almost,
right?
And less of a less of a caveman, like you said.
Yeah,
me Gonta.
It's sort of weird because he's not dumb. It's just he has this caveman speak that's just very strange. All the voice acting is exceptional, as it's always been. I'm 99% sure there's a new person for Monokuma, but that's fine because he does Monokuma. Except for a couple of lines, it's almost exactly the same. The Mono Cubs, Monokuma's 5 robot children, are all really good.
Yeah.
In a way that I thought was going to be really annoying. And it's so good. And hands down, by far, my new favorite Danganronpa character, even beating out Gundam Tanaka, is Miyu.
Oh my
the
god.
ultimate inventor.
She's my least favorite.
What's that?
She's my least favorite.
I love how, because I feel like everybody in the Danganronpa games have always been pretty serious, and I like that Miyu, her character designer said that he took all of the worst, designs you could put on a single person and just mush them together to make like the least likable character.
Well,
and
the creator himself said that he wanted her to make the list of the least liked character in all of Danganronpa. Like that was his goal. Like even as her personality, he sought to make somebody that was just purely going to win the hate list.
Unlikable. And
she's actually really high on the popularity list.
Part of the reason why I love her is because she is easily one of the most foul-mouthed characters I have run into in video game history. I feel badly for you, Mina, because I know you voice a lot of the characters when they don't have speaking lines, and that has to be really tough with stuff that I can't even begin to dance around on this show.
I was so frustrated with her because, one, I was like, I'm going to get copyright stuff hitting me left and right. I'm gonna get YouTube's gonna hit me all over the place for this character. So I was already not in a good mood, but I've actually known people exactly like her in my life.
Oh yeah, me too.
And characters who, or not characters, but people who have treated me the way she was treating Kaede, and that sort of that really got into my head at some point, and I just got so mad. I gave her the stupidest voice that I could come up with, and I was just it was always like, oh my god, and that was the only voice I gave her. I was even mumbling some of her lines because it was like I don't even want to say what she's saying now.
I don't feel safe saying this in my own home,
so I'm just gonna mumble it.
Part of the reason why I like Miyu so much is because she puts up this horribly vulgar, disgusting front, and then when someone tries to put the heat on her, all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, don't be mean to me."
Yeah,
it's sort of like,
she's so
just like
quick
a big
to
kitty
do
cat.
the victim. Yeah. Oh god, I hate.
I loved her so much because she just talks a big game, but she's really just a big baby on the inside.
Oh, I get why people like her. Yeah. I hate her. There's no way I will ever there were people who fought me with this on the channel that were like, "Oh, you just don't understand her." And I'm like, "No, I understand her.
I get it.
I don't like her.
Yeah.
I don't like how she acts like she's all that and mean." and then the second you call her out or the second she gets a taste of her own medicine, she's so quick to be like, "I'm the victim here. You need to pity me." And then as soon as you do, she flips back to acting. I was like, I can't put up with her.
The one big thing that I liked that they carried over from 2 was the class trial intermissions, because the class trials in this game are significantly longer than they were in 1 and 2.
Oh.
And it's so nice to have a halfway point where it's like, okay, I'm gonna save. I'm gonna be done for tonight. I will take tomorrow and I'll play through like the next hour and a half or 2 hours of this trial.
So I don't think they give you an intermission in the K6.
Oh no.
So I would say after an hour, you should like just save and be like, okay, because it is quite literally without me voice acting, because the class trials do not need any voice acting, so I'm just playing it straight. It was 3 hours.
Yeah, I believe it after 2, because 2 had a really long ending too. I mean, it's hard because it almost sounds like we're complaining, but that's a real positive, because these games end so strongly that it's sort of like, oh no, 3 more hours, awesome. You know, that's a good thing.
It's basically the tying the ribbon at the end, so you really need to... It's going to be long because it's going to answer all your questions that you've had throughout the series, and it definitely needed to go that long, but I would say you definitely have to like stop and save.
Yeah, I have to pace myself, So definitely I'll be finished with it before the next episode of this. And
so you said you were in Case 5's trial? Or?
No, just like about halfway through. So like it's like I was talking about before, where you have that anticipation where it's like, I know I'm going to stumble, I'm going to turn a corner and there's going to be a dead body and it's going to play that sound effect to that, like, wah, wah, wah. Which is great because that shows up a lot in the anime as well.
Yeah.
Like a couple times when you find a dead body, it plays that same sound effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I stopped it there specifically because I didn't want to like stumble upon the body and get into the investigation mode and then have to like not finish. So
I tend to do it the same way, where I'm like, okay, I need to play until this point and then stop, because I want to do the investigation all in one go.
Yep.
And then move on to doing the trial all in one go. And then that's
like
how
the 3 main phases.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, if you haven't figured out by now, like me playing 3 games and a demo and watching entire 26 episode anime in the last 2 months, I really enjoy this, and I think if you're still listening at this point and you like visual novels, or I think for me, Danganronpa 1 has entered it's now 3 games I can recommend as starting visual novels. One is 999, one is Steins Gate, if you can deal with a lot of anime, and then one is Danganronpa. Yeah. I think for me, you want to play some like true visual novels, because Phoenix Wright is sort of a little bit further into the puzzle end of the spectrum. I think those are the 3 to start with, and each one of those has a pretty good series to back it up, except for Chaos Child, because I did not enjoy that game at all. But I'm enjoying Danganronpa a lot, and I'm still mad that I have not played these before. But I'm almost caught up, and I'll be ready for Danganronpa 4 in like 5 years, probably. But that's all I played this month, so let's take a break. Let's talk RPG releases for February 2018. Dragon Quest Builders comes out on the Switch on the 9th. That's a pretty great platform for that, actually.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Good job, Square Enix. 2 thumbs up. Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology comes out on the 3DS on the 13th. I really liked the original game. And it was sadly overlooked because it sort of came out at the wrong time. I hope a lot of people give this one a shot. It's weird and it's a cool time travel story, but it's...
Is this like a Is this a sequel or is this a remake? Or
it's a remake. It's basically, hey, we brought it on the 3DS and we added like a new dungeon or something.
Okay.
It seems a lot like what they're doing with SMT Strange Journey Redux, where it's like it's largely the same thing. We're just sort of now you guys can play it because it's a better time. So, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2 comes out on the PC on the 14th. I thought this was already out, but I sort of get all the Legend of Heroes games all shuffled up, so... Or maybe it's 3. I don't really know.
Seems like they release 2 or 3 of them a year at this point.
Yeah, they're really rushing to put these out. They're finally catching up, which is good.
Yep.
So we're in less spoiler territory. And last but certainly not least, Secret of Mana comes out on PC, PS4, and the Vita on the 15th. Whoa. Which is way earlier than I thought this thing was coming out, but maybe I'll play Secret of Mana this time.
Every time I think of buying that, then I remember that they want like $40 or $50 or something.
I think it's 40 because it has a new art style.
Yeah, and I know everyone's kind of down on the art style, but to me that art style is kind of similar to the original in a way. But
I dig it. It looks like the original concept art. Like people are like, this doesn't look like Secret of Mana. It's like it really does.
Yeah.
I thought it looked
confused.
Nice, but I don't have money right now.
Yeah, so. I don't have $40 to blow on a downloadable Secret of Mana.
I really wanted it to be 20.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those titles that'll be on deep discount in a couple of months.
I can wait for a Steam sale.
Yeah,
I got a SNES Classic that I barely touched. I
there
really should probably just play it on that.
Yeah. You already own it. It's in your home.
It's probably not the only copy of it in my home.
Probably not. All right, let's move on to news stories. Speaking of Nintendo, they had a Nintendo Direct Mini basically as soon as we recorded the episode last month. I don't think we talked about this last month. Did we, Musum?
Did we even talk about news last month? I feel like
I don't think we had a lot of them. I can pull up last month's news stories here and see. We had... Nope. Atlas announced a Catherine remake. That was last month's news story. So, Nintendo had... I think it was literally the night of the episode we were recording. Nintendo came out with a Nintendo Direct Mini. Basically, they announced 3 RPGs along with a whole bunch of other DLC and games. The stuff we really care about... Ys 8 is coming out on the Switch in summer. Probably still, even with the whole translation hullabaloo. It seems like it might still be on track. I'm not entirely sure. A HD upgrade of the original Dark Souls is going to come to Switch.
Nice.
Not a remake. It's a remaster. Namco Bandai have been very clear to say, no new assets, nothing crazy, just put it on Switch, which is fine. Dark Souls is great. And last but certainly not least, one of the best DS games and one of the best RPGs of all time, The World Ends With You, is coming to Switch.
I know a lot of people will be really excited to get their hands on that.
This is such a cool, stylish, different, weird, incredible game that so many people missed, and I really, really hope that people give it a shot on the Switch. And I hope they port it correctly, so it's sort of... As the thing about the game on DS was you were playing both screens at the same time.
I was about to say, how are they planning on doing that element?
I don't know. They changed it a little bit when they put it on iOS.
Oh, did they?
And, hold on, just time out somebody on Twitch chat here because they did a fake donation message. But I don't know how they did that, so I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, but curious. If they can handle it pretty well, then that's a game that people should really try.
I'm kind of currently playing to get all 3 games, because while I own 2 copies of Dark Souls, I've never beaten it.
Yeah.
I own 2 copies of The World Ends With You.
Oh my gosh.
And I've never... Like Susie, my wife, got way farther in that game than I did. I think I bought the second copy so we could trade buttons or something like that. And
yeah, oh, that's right. You could trade buttons.
You could? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I forgot about that whole
play
button
with.
system. Man, that game was good.
Yeah, and Ys 8 has sounded, aside from the translation, has sounded like a really good game. So
Yeah.
with like Switch is my primary console right now, so I am down.
It's
I am
so
in.
good.
Yeah. More RPGs, please. Like Project Octopath Traveler, which is just a title I like saying. Really.
I downloaded that demo, and I guess I probably need to actually play it. I've been so
Yeah,
down
it's
on
supposed to be
Square,
good.
like, RPG
Yeah.
over the years, which is stupid because they've actually done pretty good lately. So
Yeah.
um,
Next news story is a rumor. Rumors that there's a new Fable game in the works, potentially being developed by Playground Games, who's been the developer of the first 3 Forza Horizon games. I sort of infamously don't have a fondness for the Fable series at all. Do either of you enjoy the Fable series?
Which one's the one where your brother is a tyrant? Is that the
3?
third one? Is that the third one?
I think so. The second one was one with a dog, right?
Well, I thought the third one had a dog too. Did it?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I didn't play through that much. I didn't like 2.
kind of incredulous at like Fable's claims with the you do this as a kid and then this happens when you grow up, and it's
the Molyneux
look,
effect.
I've been playing RPGs all my life.
Yeah,
Like,
never
it's
happened.
cool when they do that. This stuff has happened before, and never to the extent that you say it's going to.
Don't tell me you're Chrono Trigger, because I know you're not. I'm not turning a desert into a forest.
Seriously.
I don't remember it like being a very like outstanding game. I found it pretty average. I didn't find anything about it that was like, wow, this game is really good at, you know, it didn't really grab me, I guess, is the problem. It was
It's no Dragon Age Origins.
It wasn't Dragon Age Origins. That's for sure. But
I've summoned
remember,
it to be installed on someone else's Steam library now.
I mean, what it was trying to accomplish felt like it was trying to make you have like serious like choices of doing this or doing that, and that will have repercussions.
Good versus evil.
Yeah, but what it all boiled down to, really, that I understood was grind a lot and get a lot of money, and then you just pick the good option and feel better about the whole thing, and you don't have to make any hard choices.
I'd like to see a developer take the Fable framework and like really lean into that running a city, like property management money sort of stuff. And like I think that 3 was trying to do, where it's, you know, I think it was 3 where at the halfway point it's like, hey, now you're king, what are you gonna do? And it's like, wait, what? You know, I'd like to see them lean more into that stuff and have the RPG and the combat that the series was never that great at.
The combat
sort of
wasn't
take
great,
a back
you're
seat.
right.
Almost like Wrecketeer. You know, that
I feel like I'm trying to remember like what was something I was enjoying about the game, and I don't remember anything specific that I enjoyed, and that's probably why I didn't finish it.
Yeah, it was all just fine. Like everything was okay.
Yeah.
So what if this new one is just you riding a horse to different festivals and
doing 3-star drifts? You almost got me, Mason. But yes, I would play the hell out of that.
I mean, I think
just Forza Horizon within medieval times.
Yeah, Forza Horizon.
I think what they just need to seek out is to find something to really ground that game as like something really good about the game, instead of spreading out and doing a lot of things just okay and not really wowing me anywhere along the way.
You need your Nemesis system from the Mordor games. Like, you know, it's the thing where it's like, the rest of the game is fine, but this thing is super cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's great if you want to make a game that's really good at everything, but at the very least, you need to have like the one real hook. Like Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Okay, I was pretty bleh about a lot of that game until I got a boat, and I was like, I love this game.
Game of the year.
This is amazing. I love this boat. And like that carried me through so much of that game, because I was just like, I just want to be on a boat, and I want to land on little islands, and I want to I want to have boat battles. I want more boat.
Put Fable on the sea. I'll play that.
Yeah.
I'll play that too.
You just go to your port and then select which boat you want, and as you get more money, Forza Horizon.
Boats of Horizon 3.
Yeah. I really like the Forza Horizon game, so I hope they do a good job. For me, I feel like they would have to completely reinvent what that franchise is for me to want to play it.
And part of the rumor that came along with it was they would sort of have to, because it sounds like there's a bit of a licensing spat between Lionhead and Microsoft, who seem to own about half each. And I think I don't remember if it was Lionhead or if it was someone else that was making that actually really cool 4 versus 1 Fable game that was almost like a tabletop D&D thing that they're making that went in like open beta and then got canceled.
Oh, man.
That seemed pretty cool, but that might sort of muddy the waters. Yeah. Fable's crazy. But I like Playground Games. They made 3 really great racing games, so I'm curious to see them take a crack at another genre and see, with a fresh pair of eyes, what can someone make?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, look at Guerrilla and Horizon Zero Dawn from freaking...
That's a perfect example. Yeah, turn them loose on something brand new and come out with something really good.
Completely different.
Yeah. Speaking of something not completely different at all, the original Disgaea is getting an HD remake. Disgaea 5 found its way to PS4 and Switch, so I think those are probably safe platforms to assume. Part of the reason why I want to bring this up is because I feel like every Disgaea after the first one has had maybe too much stuff in it. It's maybe sort of 10 pounds of poop in a 5-pound bag. But the first one, I feel like had just enough stuff in it. And I hope they port this and then don't mess with it. Just leave it alone. Let it be Disgaea, dude.
What are the chances of that?
Yeah, I don't... Also, the term HD remake for a PS2 isometric sprite-based SRPG is sort of funny.
I didn't want to say it, but I was going to be like, it's a funny way to put it.
Yeah.
It's just going to be the same...
Same muddy sprites blown up to 1080p.
I'm sure they'll clean up the sprites, but it's
Sure.
like the idea of it being an HD remake is not.
Yes,
it's laughable to me unless they're actually doing actual 3D character modeling, which I do not expect. I'm expecting
same old,
the
same
sprites,
thing.
Just cleaner.
NIS has been making for the last decade, which is fine. They're all really good games.
I mean, people love them, and I love the second one. The second one has a special place in my heart. And
second one's really good.
It's my personal favorite. I actually own all of them before anybody calls me out on it. I own them all.
You've put in the money.
I put in the money so I can laugh about it.
I've always been afraid of that series because
You should be.
What's the max level? 999,000 or something like that?
Per character.
You can rebirth them, so technically there is an unlimited number of levels. What's crazy is if you take a max level character and you rebirth them to level 1, have that level 1 character walk up to something, punch it in the face, and just explode them because that character has retained...
Yeah, it's impossibly strong.
It's crazy. I made this.
Those games are nuts.
I made this level 1 cat girl that I rebirthed and rebirthed and rebirthed. She was on her 3rd or 4th rebirth, but she has an automatic counter thing or whatever. And typically units aren't going to have a high chance at countering. I walked her up to the strongest enemy in the game at the time, and I just. Level 1, walked her up there, just sat her right in front of the enemy. The enemy poked her. She did counter. He countered her. Counter. She killed them at the end of the entire counter list.
Jeez.
It was counter times whatever. That's cool. So
this guy is so crazy.
Is Disgaea the NIS series where the weapons are dungeons too?
Yeah.
Yes. And eventually all items are dungeons.
All things dungeons.
And for a lot of them, it's not super... Like, weapons get pretty significantly buffed when you go through, but it's like, you're just going to take, like, a healing herb and go through and turn it into, like, healing herb 1, like, +1, it's not going to get you anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Last but not least, BioWare's Anthem has been quote-unquote delayed to 2019. Basically, an insider in the studio was like, hey man, it's coming out in 2019. EA put 2018 on our trailer at E3 last year, and that wasn't going to happen. So, this is more accurate. It also seems like EA, they're being pretty tight-lipped about their expectations about this, but Jason Schreier, Kotaku, talked to some insiders with the typical standard, excellent journalism that he does, and they said, like, hey, it's boy, this is certainly our make or break game. Like, if we sort of had a miss with Andromeda, and boy, if we don't hit on this one, then that's probably the end of BioWare. So,
man, that sucks.
Yeah, they also said that they recently rebooted the next Dragon Age game, which got a lot of people to roll their eyes and be like, "Oh, of course they did." And it's like, well, I mean, it wasn't. They didn't even announced it yet. Like, they're just it's the same thing Blizzard does, where it's like, I don't like it, just throw it out. We'll start back over.
Yeah, I'm just worried about them calling it a live game.
Well,
yeah.
Have you seen what EA has patented?
Yeah, a lot of shady stuff.
That's not boding too well. I don't have any high hopes for it, which is really depressing because I really liked BioWare over what they had done in the past, at least. So I'm really scared that this is going to be the end.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have that 1 in a million chance that the rumors that we all know is BS of Microsoft buying EA.
Yeah, that'd be cool, though.
Like, as much as I don't want BioWare games to be exclusive to the Xbox, at the same time, I'm fairly certain Microsoft would treat them much better than EA would. And unfortunately, I mean, that sucks, because if Anthem fails and they really do get... I mean, EA's just not going to sell them. I mean, they're going to shut them down.
I think they're just going to shut them down.
Shut them down.
Send people home.
I mean, it's very... Like, all you have to do is look at what EA has done to other companies, so... I mean,
yeah.
Throughout the last 20 years. Well, and it's so hard, too. When you look at EA, they have seen the power of games as a service games, which is really a term that I'm not crazy about. But you look at a bunch of loot boxes, and they have been controversial but monetarily very successful. And you look at a lot of games that are... like Destiny or The Division, that seem to be in the realm of Anthem, and you can see them having a pretty long tail on them. But it's hard to understand. It's hard to see immediately from the outside. You see something like a Dragon Age game and have BioWare say, like, we want some sort of live online component. It's like, that's real, like, of anything. That's really, really not what these games are. Like, these are true, genuine, single-player, offline RPGs.
Exactly.
In every fashion. And
I don't want to play with other people when I'm playing my Dragon Age game. I enjoy that my character is the main character and the hero of whatever story I am embarking upon, and I'm going to recruit these characters that are going to be my partner, and I don't want to play with other people when I'm playing these games, because I don't want someone else to be the hero. This is my hero story.
Yeah.
And I mean, nothing breaks immersion like other players.
Like other players' gamer tags showing up in your keep.
Suddenly a bunch of other players, other heroes, and in a seemingly story that's like, you're the hero, but there's everybody around me is the same.
Also, is Fart Sniffer 75 standing next to you.
Right. And I don't need that. I don't need that.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. I feel like BioWare has taken quite a few licks ever since Mass Effect 3, and I sincerely hope that Anthem is a hit, just to see them sort of get a hit and come back to their former glory, but I can understand EA's position saying, like, this is a real make-or-break thing. So
yeah, but I mean, BioWare's been around since, what, like early 2000s?
30 years?
Yeah.
No, I think it's even before that.
Were they? I feel like that name is so iconic. I
Founded February 1995, 23 years.
Wow.
So, Shattered Steel and Baldur's Gate, those were some of their first games. Like, there's...
I always forget they worked on Baldur's Gate, because that was released with Interscope? No, that's a record company.
Black Isle? Interplay?
Interplay, that's what I was trying to think of.
Yep. Yeah. Crazy stuff. So, fingers crossed. And I mean, either way, we'll talk about Anthem on the show, because it'll probably be a pretty big release. So, but that's next year.
I do like mech suits.
yeah, I dig all that stuff. All right, well, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. All the links to all the places you can contact us, hang out with us, especially the Discord server on the right-hand side of the page. Musum, where can we find you?
You can listen to my other podcast, thecarouselpodcast.com. And you can buy my music at musum.bandcamp.com, also on Spotify and iTunes.
And Mina, where can we find you?
You can find me on both Twitch and YouTube at Minako Rocket, Minako Rocket.
And you can find this show and all the other E1M1 shows at the newly relaunched E1M1.com. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Musum and Mina, for joining me yet again.
Pleasure as always.
Thanks for having me.
And our adventure continues next month.